As Daniels spoke, Chief Carter listened without interrupting. His expression revealed nothing, but his silence was far more intimidating than shouting. When Daniels finished, the explanation hung awkwardly in the air. "So," Chief Carter summarized calmly, "my daughter was detained because she was tying her shoe near a fence." Daniels attempted to clarify, mentioning a vague suspect description. The chief nodded slowly. "And did you verify her alibi before confiscating her phone?" Daniels hesitated again. The gathered neighbors watched every second unfold. Chief Carter turned to Maya. "Where were you?" "Tutoring at the library," she replied. "Mrs. Patel was there." The chief looked back at Daniels. "The library has security cameras," he said evenly. Daniels swallowed hard. He hadn't checked. He'd acted on assumption. Chief Carter stepped closer, lowering his voice so only Daniels could hear. "Authority is not intimidation. It is responsibility." Daniels felt sweat gather under his collar despite the dry heat. Backup finally arrived, another patrol unit pulling up cautiously. The officers inside immediately recognized the chief and froze. The situation's tone shifted entirely. Chief Carter addressed them professionally, requesting verification of the vandalism report. Within minutes, dispatch confirmed the suspect was a grown male wearing a red hoodie, nothing like Maya's bright yellow sweater. A murmur rippled through the watching neighbors. Daniel's mistake was undeniable now. Maya remained silent throughout, observing how quickly respect replaced ridicule. Moments earlier, Daniels had laughed at her request. Now he avoided her eyes entirely. Chief Carter faced his daughter again. "You handled yourself well," he told her softly. She nodded, though her hands still trembled slightly. The humiliation lingered, but so did relief. She hadn't needed to shout or argue. She had simply stood firm in truth. Chief Carter then addressed Daniels formally. "Officer, effective immediately, you are relieved of duty pending review." Daniels' shoulders slumped. "Chief, I was just doing my job," he muttered weakly. "No," Carter corrected. "You were abusing discretion." The distinction was sharp. Neighbors began retreating indoors, the spectacle ending, but the lesson lingering. As Internal Affairs was notified, Chief Carter placed a reassuring hand on Maya's shoulder. "Power tests character," he said quietly. "Today, yours passed." Maya finally allowed herself a small smile. The flashing lights turned off, and the street returned to normal rhythm. Yet something fundamental had shifted, not just for Daniels, but for everyone who witnessed it. Later that evening, Chief Carter sat across from Daniels in his office. The walls displayed commendations earned over decades of service. "Why did you escalate?" Carter asked calmly. Daniels admitted he'd assumed defiance where there was none. He'd mistaken confidence for disrespect. The chief listened carefully, emphasizing training, accountability, and community trust. Word of the incident spread through the department quickly. Some officers defended Daniels privately. Others admitted it was a needed wake-up call. Chief Carter scheduled mandatory de-escalation workshops. "We serve," he reminded them during briefing. "We do not dominate." At school the next day, Maya's friends buzzed with rumors. She avoided exaggerating the story. "It's handled," she said simply. What mattered wasn't her father's rank, it was that she knew her rights and remained calm. Weeks later, Daniels returned under probationary status after disciplinary action. He approached Maya's family home one afternoon, not in uniform, but respectfully. He apologized sincerely. Maya accepted, understanding growth sometimes follows failure. The neighborhood slowly regained its sense of comfort. Mrs. Henderson even brought over cookies, expressing quiet support. Trust, once shaken, was being rebuilt carefully. Chief Carter continued reinforcing accountability within his department. Policies were reviewed, body camera audits increased, and community forums scheduled. At the first forum, residents shared concerns openly. Daniels attended voluntarily, listening more than speaking. Maya watched from the back row, realizing change requires courage on all sides. The incident became a training example, not of embarrassment, but of correction and growth. In the days following the incident, the neighborhood felt unusually quiet, as if everyone were replaying the scene in their minds. Mrs. Henderson eventually crossed the street with a warm container of cookies, using kindness to bridge discomfort. She apologized to Maya for not speaking up sooner, admitting fear had kept her silent. Maya appreciated the honesty more than any grand gesture. Conversations slowly shifted from gossip to reflection. Parents discussed authority with their children at dinner tables. The event had sparked awareness. What happened on that sidewalk was no longer just an embarrassing mistake. It had become a community lesson. Chief Carter understood that private correction was not enough. He scheduled a department-wide review focusing on probable cause, communication tone, and youth interaction policies. During the meeting, he spoke firmly about perception versus evidence. Assumptions erode trust, he reminded his officers. Daniel sat in the second row, listening carefully, feeling the weight of experience reshaping his understanding. Body camera footage from similar stops was analyzed, not to shame, but to improve judgment. The department began drafting clearer engagement guidelines, ensuring future encounters emphasized conversation before command whenever safely possible. The first community forum after the incident filled the local recreation hall beyond capacity. Residents arrived curious, cautious, yet hopeful. Chief Carter opened the discussion by acknowledging recent tensions without naming his daughter specifically. Daniels surprised many by standing and addressing the audience. He admitted that authority must be balanced with humility. His voice was steady but sincere. Questions followed about profiling, de-escalation, and accountability. Instead of defensiveness, the officers responded with transparency. The dialogue lasted hours. By the end, the atmosphere felt lighter, as though honesty itself had ventilated the room. Maya attended quietly, seated by her father but not seeking attention. When a teenager asked how to stay calm during a stop, Chief Carter gently invited Maya to answer. She described focusing on breathing and speaking clearly, even when emotions ran high. Confidence isn't disrespect, she explained. It's knowing you have rights. Her words resonated with both adults and youth. Daniels listened closely, recognizing how easily confidence can be misread. That evening reinforced something powerful. Communication builds bridges faster than authority ever could. Within weeks, the department introduced updated training modules emphasizing adolescent psychology and bias awareness. Officers participated in scenario-based exercises where they practiced slowing down tense situations. Daniels volunteered for additional ride-alongs with a veteran officer known for patience and negotiation skills. The shift in approach wasn't dramatic or flashy, it was gradual and deliberate. Small habits changed first: tone of voice, posture, phrasing. Over time, those small adjustments reshaped interactions. Complaints began to decrease, and positive feedback quietly increased. At school, Maya focused on her debate competitions and advanced placement classes. She chose criminal justice as the topic for her senior research paper, exploring the relationship between trust and law enforcement effectiveness. Her experience gave her insight without bitterness. Teachers noticed a deeper maturity in her presentations. She argued not from anger, but from principle. Classmates who once teased her about calling daddy now understood the deeper message. It wasn't about power, it was about accountability. Daniels, meanwhile, found himself thinking differently during patrols. One afternoon, he approached a group of teenagers gathered near a convenience store. Instead of issuing immediate commands, he greeted them casually and asked what they were discussing. The tension that might once have flared simply dissolved. The teens responded respectfully. Daniels realized how much smoother encounters became when ego stepped aside. Growth felt uncomfortable at first, but slowly it became natural. Chief Carter monitored progress carefully but quietly. He believed leadership required consistency more than grand speeches. He instituted quarterly evaluations, focusing on communication effectiveness. Supervisors were encouraged to coach rather than criticize. Internally, morale improved. Officers felt clearer expectations and stronger support. Externally, the community noticed a calmer presence on the streets. Trust, once cracked, was being repaired piece by careful piece. Maya's college applications required a personal statement. She hesitated before writing about the incident, unsure whether it would define her too strongly. Eventually, she chose honesty. She described the moment she asked to call her father, explaining that courage is not loud, it is steady. She wrote about accountability starting within systems and within families. The essay felt vulnerable yet empowering. When she finished, she knew it represented more than an event. It captured her values. Acceptance letters began arriving in early spring. Each envelope carried possibility.
Maya opened them slowly, savoring the reward for years of dedication. Her father watched proudly, remembering the frightened but composed girl on that sidewalk months earlier. The contrast moved him deeply. Growth had touched them both. What began as humiliation had evolved into motivation. One evening, Chief Carter framed Maya's first acceptance letter and placed it on his office wall. Officers who entered couldn't help but notice it. It symbolized something beyond parental pride. It represented integrity surviving pressure. Daniels paused in front of the frame one afternoon, reflecting quietly. The lesson he learned extended far beyond one mistake. The neighborhood gradually returned to its peaceful rhythm. Children rode bikes freely again, and neighbors chatted comfortably at mailboxes. Yet beneath the normalcy lingered a shared awareness. People understood